I'd say one of the most common myths is that you need 20% down payment to buy a house. And this just isn't true.
Welcome, everyone, to the Closing Table Podcast, real accounts from real estate professionals brought to you by Windowsill. I'm your host, Kat Schooler, and today I'm sitting down with real estate agent Carla Ng. Carla is an agent with Keller Williams Bay Area Estates out in California and has received such designations as Rookie of the Year and the Rising Star Award from her brokerage, in addition to being the featured real estate agent on House Hunters Season 215, Episode 8. Today, Carla talks with us all about her experience on House Hunters, what it was like filming, and how doing the show has given her credibility with prospective clients. She also talks to us about her most important lessons learned in her real estate career and the value of reliable mentors. We also hit on some myths in real estate and debunk a few, like, do you really need 20% down to buy a home? So without further ado, let's dive right in and talk to Carla. Carla, thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love to kick it off by talking about your experience on House Hunters, because I think that is so cool. I just brushed up on your episode, and you got to even work with a friend when you were on House Hunters, correct?
Yes. So I can tell you all about it. So it actually all started with one of my listings in Redondo. So a producer reached out and she wanted to feature my listing on the show. However, my sellers didn't really want to take their house off the market for a whole day of filming. So we politely declined. And the producer actually really liked my website and video presence. And she asked if I wanted to star in my own episode, which is awesome. I was so honored and excited, but I had to wait 6 months to find the perfect buyers who were going to be willing to be on the show. So my friends from college, Sunny and Tony, had an amazing story. We actually got them a house in a week before their lease was up, which was a total whirlwind. And it was a really fun experience being on the show. I learned a lot about being on TV, like how to not look at the camera directly or avoiding certain phrases like don't say master bedroom or you can't even say like it's a safe and clean neighborhood just because then when you're comparing the houses and you don't say that for one of the houses, it's assuming that that one is not safe and clean. So I was like, oh my goodness, what can I say? And then, nothing was scripted. We really had to do three full takes of each house showing, and there was three houses on the show. So it was filmed for 5 full days from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., all for like 25 minutes of airtime. And honestly, the hardest part of the show was the wardrobe because I couldn't wear black or white or any patterns, anything with shine, and everything had to be solid color. So that was cool that I got to go shopping for the show. And I feel really grateful to be part of such a fun project. And being on the show has been a really great conversation starter with prospective clients when they view my YouTube channel or website. And I wouldn't say that it necessarily has brought me leads, but it's definitely given me credibility and has helped my brand. So I definitely recommend other agents to be on the show, and I'd love to be on the show again.
It's funny that you mention your outfits because I was just rewatching it right before we got on, and I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, Carla's outfits are so glam. I mean, you really had a great presence on the show. You you would think you do it all the time, and so I love hearing that it's a great kind of like calling card for you and things like that, because I do wonder for agents like what it actually does for your career and like what the benefits are, other than like it seems like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was a great production. I learned a lot, like I said, being on TV, and it was a good bonding moment for me and my friends too. And I got close to their daughter. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like people were calling me like, "Oh, you're on House Hunters. I want you to be my agent." But when they see that I've been on the show, it's a really good talking point. House Hunters is HGTV's number one show. It's their most popular show for decades now. And I just feel like it's given me a good presence. And, instead of just being like a rookie agent, I feel like has elevated me to help my brand.
Would you do any other television appearances on other shows? Because I know there's a couple new ones now, like First Time Homebuyer and then American Dream. Would that be
Ooh,
something you'd continue to be interested in?
yes, I would love the opportunity to be on a show again. I actually haven't heard of those shows.
Oh,
But I'd yeah, I love it. I think it's fun. I think it speaks to my personality and really engaging with my clients. But it's really hard to find buyers who are willing to be on the show. So it takes a lot of their time, and they're not necessarily paid that much to be on the show.
right. And I imagine like house hunting to begin with already takes up a lot of time, and then kind of spending a whole day in one house, and then I'm sure it's reality television show. There's a bit of playing it up. There's a little bit of acting that has to happen. So I get why your average home buyer might not necessarily be interested.
Mhm. They have to be big fans of the show and also be more inclined, I guess, not as private people because you are airing your personal life to the whole world. Yeah, but I think it was a really fun project for Sunny and Tony. Like when I proposed it to them, they were like, "Yes, of course." And it really bonded our friendship because we actually hadn't talked since college, but she reached out and I helped her find the house. And then after that, when we started the filming, that's when we really got closer. And now we're great friends.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so let's back it up, Carla, to how you got started in real estate to begin with. Can you tell us that story?
So I worked in a sales and marketing position that required me to travel around the country. And when COVID hit, our company grounded us and I worked entirely remote. So there was only so many Zoom meetings that I can do during the day. And it's really hard for me to sit still. Like my friends call me the Energizer Bunny. So I really wanted to start a side hustle. So I got my real estate license the week the pandemic hit. And I thought that real estate would be a perfect blend of my people skills and my business skills since I have a background as a CPA. So I really wanted to help people fulfill their dreams of home ownership. And little did I know that it would turn into a full blown career, and the rest is history.
That's so wonderful. And so, did you kind of like know what you were getting into when you went into real estate? It's a very difficult career. You hear it's like an 85% dropout rate or a very large number. Were you kind of mentally prepared for all of that going in?
Honestly, no, I did not know what I was getting into. I just knew that the real estate industry it had low barriers to entry. I think I'm pretty good at taking tests. So I was just like, oh, I mean, I just bought the books, took the online course, and then just got the license. I didn't really think much of it. I just thought it was going to be a fun project. And I really didn't know that it was actually going to turn into a passion of mine. So I just kind of got thrown into it just to see, kind of because boredom got the best of me during COVID. And, a lot of people say, oh, what did you do during COVID? Like, or the pandemic? Like, how did you occupy yourself? And I was like, well, I got my side hustle in real estate. So that was really my passion project.
Awesome. Now that you've been doing it for a while, I guess has it turned out to be everything you thought it would be?
Yes and no. So I get into this with later on when we talk about like the lessons I've learned in real estate. I definitely had to get thick skin because I've never been in a customer service role. And I mean, I was in sales and marketing position before, but this is really like I had to cold call, I had to door knock, I was capturing internet leads, like any person could like contact me. And I did get a lot of like verbal abuse, like over the phone. Cold calling is no easy feat. And so that was the number one thing I learned from being in a sales role is to just brush off negativity and get more thick skin, which actually has proven useful in life.
Totally. Let's talk about your area a little bit. You're kind of in that Silicon Valley, California area. What do you love? the most about working in your area?
So I love selling in the Bay Area because it's a perfect blend of California charm and vibrant city life. So you've got the beaches in Santa Cruz and the skyscrapers in San Francisco. I live in Cupertino, which is the heart of Silicon Valley. So we're in a hot market. It's buzzing with the latest technology. Everyone moves here to work for the tech giants like Apple or Google or Nvidia. And the communities here are really warm and welcoming. There's always something new to explore, like hikes, farmers markets, concerts, and shows, and art and music festivals. So it's like buzzing with a lot of activity. And I'd say there's a variety of culture here since it's a big melting pot of people. It's pretty diverse. And I think that helping clients find their dream home in such a beautiful setting is incredibly rewarding as well.
That's so cool. Do you find like, because I'm sure earlier on, a lot of people were, and I'm sure they still are, coming to Silicon Valley as the tech hub, the place to be. Do you find that has changed since the pandemic and things have gone more remote, or is there still a big influx of businesses and things like that in that area?
Definitely a lot of businesses are still flourishing here. And I'd say that the biggest difference is since the pandemic, when everyone was remote, now they're requiring people to go back to work. So
Mm.
lots more traffic. That's like definitely a negative. I bring that up in one of my videos about like pros and cons of living in Silicon Valley. And I was like, well, if you're okay with the traffic here, because people don't really take that much public transportation. But the pros are, again, that it's beautiful. There's a lot of culture, lots of things to do, and variety, like I said, because you can go to the beaches, go to enjoy the city life, or also lots of nature too.
Beautiful. Let's talk about working with clients. What is it like for clients to work with you? What do you talk about at an initial meeting? What do you hope that they come to you with in terms of information or questions?
Clients tell me that working together feels like having a reliable partner on my side throughout the whole, home buying and selling process. And they tell me that I truly listen to understand their needs, their expectations, their goals, and I keep them informed every step of the way. So it's been incredibly rewarding to hear how I've helped make a stressful process feel smoother. And I'm also always learning from the people that I work with, like whether it's my brokers or even my husband, who's also a realtor and property manager. And my focus is on being an advocate for my clients and making sure that they feel confident and supported throughout their journey.
I love that. So when you are first sitting down with someone, what kinds of questions are you asking them? What kinds of questions do you like for them to ask you?
So I go through a buyer consultation with them, actually give them a worksheet of like their preferences and ask them to rank certain criteria in the house. Like, do they want this pool, or how important is it to have a backyard, or beyond just like how many bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and neighborhoods. And then I also go through all the neighborhoods with them in Silicon Valley based on their price point and their preferences. And, I feel like I really understand their needs, which helps me find their dream home for them and not just a house. And also, while I have experience getting top dollar for sellers, my focus is on, the goals of the seller or the buyer and making sure that they feel confident and supported throughout the journey. I guess usually say like I strive to be your real estate matchmaker. So and that buying and selling can be overwhelming for a lot of people. So I really see myself as their partner, handling negotiations, paperwork, and even recommending like vendors such as like staging, repairs, cleaning, or even like a home organizer. So I feel like I never leave clients in the dark, and I keep them informed throughout the whole process, answer their questions promptly and making sure that they understand every step of the way.
Do you have any like favorite client stories, like any kind of successes in helping people buy or sell their home?
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to talk about my baptism by fire. So this was back in the summer of 2020. I was fresh out of real estate school and I was a newbie agent, clinging to the fake it till you make it motto. And I used a lead program through our office called Op City. And this is back when I was in Southern California selling real estate. And I was connected with a lovely young couple in Westwood. So here I was, a total rookie. I was showing multi-million dollar homes. And I remember thinking, is this what selling Sunset is like? 'Cause there was like beautiful homes, and I had no idea what I was doing. But we found a place they loved. Competition was fierce because we were competing with four other offers, and I knew I was way in over my head. So I phoned a friend and I roped in my amazing broker at the time. And together we wrote an offer for over $2 million. And guess what? We got the house. And the best part was when the buyer asked, what's next? And I just laughed and said, let me check with my expert. And because honestly, I had no clue. So my broker and a whole lot of luck got us through a smooth closing. And that first deal, I'll always remember, was a wild ride, and one that I'll never forget. And it really showed me the importance of teamwork. And, if you're new or you need a little bit of training and hand holding, you can always reach out to your manager or your mentor. And also, a good dose of beginner's luck doesn't hurt either.
Right. I could only imagine kind of being a new agent and with the price points that are out in your area, that would certainly be intimidating. What would be kind of your advice to someone new starting out, kind of to deal with that intimidation factor?
The first few deals that I had, I like roped in my broker, and I was actually pretty lucky because we had four managers in our office, and I knew exactly who to go to for advice. So, like, this person I went to for contracts, this person I went to for technology. Like, if I had questions on like our lead generation system or like how to do anything tech, like my newsletter or setting up my command. And then the third person was good with like negotiations. And then the fourth one, I literally called him like anytime, like even if it was like 10 o'clock at night. Like if I was in a deal, it was nice that they were like always available to help. And I feel really grateful that I had that help, especially in the beginning. I also got a real estate coach, which I thought was beneficial. So I did the Tom Ferry coaching program, and they would give me really good ideas on, what to do, because you are an entrepreneur and you can make this career anything you want. So it's really creative. All these strategies are online too. So that's the unique thing about real estate, is that someone probably has done it before. So you don't really have to recreate the wheel, but you can kind of like rip off and duplicate. So um, I would, take some versions of this and then kind of make it my own. Because all of these great ideas are out there. You just have to research them and, make it your own.
That's great. And so, like, how do you separate the wheat from the chaff there when because all the great ideas are out there too, but there's probably some bad ones too. So how do you determine like what's good and what's bad, or even what's going to work for you, but what isn't?
I'd say I like have like a huge notepad, and then I discuss it with my partner, my husband, or I also will discuss it with my coach first, or even if you have a mentor at the office, you can discuss, and also just have like someone who's a good sounding board. I also would discuss ideas with my lender too. He would chime in and kind of help brainstorm, because when you are working as a solo agent, not on a team, it can feel like you're on an island sometimes. So it is good to have these partners, whether it's your lender, your title rep, your mentor, your broker, or even just a friend at the office to kind of bounce ideas off of. And then I'm sure your office also would have like these mastermind groups too, and you can discuss ideas with those groups as well.
That's all great advice. Yeah, I think the hardest part about being an entrepreneur is kind of the solo aspect of the career. And so whether you're finding community through being on a team or having a coach, I think that's great advice. So Carly, we've kind of like touched on a little bit already about kind of some lessons you learned, but what would you say would be like the biggest lesson you've learned in your real estate career?
I'd say the power of video. So getting your face out there, especially during COVID when people like really crave that human connection. Um, I felt like sending personalized video emails with software called Bomb Bomb. It was a hit. I sent follow up emails. I would film myself with a whiteboard saying their name, like "Hi, Kat," and so they know that it's personalized. And that really made me stand out because no one's really doing that, and I become more memorable. So just get your face out there. I know it can be intimidating to be on video. Also, I found that creating like a 1 to 2 minute profile video introducing yourself and your services really helped my brand. It was kind of like a little commercial about yourself. And I feel that people really trust those that they recognize. So they'll be like, oh, like you're the girl on House Hunters, or you're the girl riding your bike on the Strand. That is a total game changers to really put yourself out there on video.
I think that's great. Especially being on YouTube or doing a podcast, people get to know that you're a living, breathing person and they get to kind of have a taste for your personality. I love it. What would you say are just some of the biggest myths that people believe about real estate?
I'd say one of the most common myths is that you need 20% down payment to buy a house. And this just isn't true. And even though that's the standard, but there actually are a variety of loan options available that require as little as 3% down. And there are assistance programs that can help you save even more than that. So, I try to tell buyers, like, don't let the idea of a big down payment scare you off. And then another myth that sellers have is that they should overprice their home and then leave room for negotiation. That is a big no-no. The reality is that overpricing your home can actually hurt your chances of selling. So, buyers today, they're pretty savvy. They can easily spot an overpriced home. So this often results in a property sitting on the market for a really long time. It can get stale, and then instead of people calling you for interest, they're actually calling you for concern. If they see that a house has been on the market for 30 days to 3 months, that is when you're going to have to maybe eventually lower the price. And that's when there's blood in the water, right? So the best strategy I think is to price your home competitively from the start. So I recommend pricing it slightly under market value. And I feel like this strategy really maximizes your visibility and attracts a larger pool of buyers. For example, let's say you're aiming for a 1.1 million price point, then I would suggest pricing it at a little under 990,000, and that captures all of the buyers under a million. So this increases the likelihood of multiple offers and a potential bidding war, which ultimately leads to a higher price. And then there's also the myth of the highest price is always the best offer, which is not true at all. So it's crucial to consider the contingencies and also the terms associated with each offer. For example, an offer with fewer or no contingencies is all, which is commonplace in the Bay Area, or a faster closing time may be more advantageous than a higher offer with more contingencies or conditions, right? So if the buyers are offering a rent back to the sellers, this means that the buyers are letting the sellers stay in the house after the sale, rent free for a couple months while the sellers look for their next property. That can be a huge advantage to the sellers so that they only have to move once. So, evaluating the whole complete package of each offer is really will help you make the best decision for your situation, and not necessarily just always looking at the highest price.
That's so good to know because I think a lot of people are just thinking when it comes to buying and selling, it's just that big number, right? It's not all the kind of little associated aspects that go along with it. Are there any challenges you're currently facing in the real estate world? And if so, how are you working through them?
Yes. So the current real estate market does have its challenges, but I do find that navigating them to be part of an exciting part of the job. So in the Bay Area and all of California, actually, there's low inventory right now. So there just are not enough homes on the market to meet buyer demand. So I stay proactive by constantly networking with other agents, staying in close contact with homeowners in my housing farm who might be considering selling. So I try to use more creative marketing strategies to attract potential sellers and get more listings. For example, I organized a spring cleaning donation drive in my farm. So I partnered with a local charity called Parka, and I sent out 500 postcards in my housing farm about the event. So I went door to door, door knocked, invited everyone in the farm to donate their used clothing and help raise funds for adults with developmental disabilities. So that was a great event. And I want to continue doing community events like that in the future. So just getting, more creative with that. And then also the higher interest rates right now, as they're hovering in the high sixes, sevens, can make mortgages more expensive, which can put a damper on buyer enthusiasm. So I try to help educate my clients on various financing options available and connect them with my trusted lenders who can help them find the best rates and the terms. So sometimes we look into things like adjustable rate mortgages or explore programs that offer lower initial rates.
I love your community event. That sounds so great because let's face it, like we all probably have some things in our closet that need to go. And it's
Mhm.
such a great way to give back to your community.
Yes, that was a really fun one. We took a lot of pictures, and I was like nervous that no one was going to come. But then, you never know, right? So actually, we had a good amount of people. At least 20 groups came by in like 3 hours, and we collected a whole truckload of clothes and miscellaneous household items. Um, and we raised over $1,000 for the charity.
Oh, what a wonderful success. Oh, that's so good to hear. Now, touching back on the buyers feeling hesitant about interest rates, because I feel like this is like the topic these days. What would you say to somebody who is maybe trying to like time the market, or they're maybe wanting to move but thinking they'll just wait until interest rates maybe go down? What are you kind of telling people? What are you hearing?
When the interest rate was around 3% back during the pandemic, honestly, I don't think that's ever going to happen again. So I think a lot of buyers are getting used to the 7% interest rate right now. That's kind of like the new normal. Most sellers, they feel like trapped because they got in at the 3%. They don't really want to move with the 7%, which is understandable, right? But I think once we get into the fives, that's when people are going to feel a little bit more comfortable moving. But right now, people are like not moving unless they really have to, whether it's like, because of diapers or diplomas or relocation or just life circumstances. I'd say, if your life circumstance is right for you to make that move for you and your family, I'd say you could, try to find the perfect house for you guys, and then you can always refinance once the rates are going to get lower, because they're not going to stay at the 7-6% forever. And you can always refinance.
Excellent. So we're about halfway through 2024, and I'm sure you had some goals this year. I'm sure some of them are completed because you just had a beautiful wedding. And so, congratulations to you on that. Do you have any more goals for this year that you'd like to share? Like, how are they going for you? Are you already looking to 2025?
Yes. So since I moved from LA to the Bay Area, one of my biggest goals was to elevate my brand, particularly on YouTube. So I set out to create more engaging and informative content. I found that YouTube Shorts gave me a lot of traction on my channel. And I also utilized the green screen in my office to film more like exciting videos with some cool editing. And I'm happy to report that it's going great. My subscriber count has been steadily climbing, and I'm receiving a lot of positive feedback from viewers who find my videos helpful. And another goal was to expand my housing farm and increase my client base by at least 20%. So, thanks to a lot of hard work and a few strategic marketing moves, I'm well on track to meet and hopefully exceed that target. So, I used a triple dialer for cold calling that really boosted my outreach and allowed me to connect with more potential clients. So a triple dialer means that I actually call three people at once, and it's actually really efficient. And I actually got my first listing in the Bay Area from a cold call. So that is a great lead pillar for me. And like you mentioned, I closed my biggest deal yet. I got married in May, and my husband is also a realtor and property manager. And our goal was to establish our brand as a dynamic husband and wife team now. So we're excited about the opportunities of this partnership and to bring our business and clients together. So it's been a busy, rewarding year, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much more we can accomplish together.
Oh, that's so exciting. That's going to be so great for you both. Well, Carla, thank you so much for joining me today. Would you like to direct people to how they can find you and work with you?
Yes, so you can visit our website, Carla Ng, CarlaNG, realestate.com, or you can just find me on YouTube or Instagram. And I'm also a part of Keller Williams. You can find me on their website.
Awesome. And we'll link that all in the description below so people can find you with an easy click. Carla, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you for listening to the Closing Table podcast brought to you by Windowsill. I'm Kat Schooler. Please make sure you are following our podcast on Apple or Spotify. And if you're part of our YouTube audience, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying this podcast, please feel free to leave us up to a 5-star review or a comment. It helps us find more amazing listeners like you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.